Today on the Geek Missile podcast. Hey, I have an idea. Why don't you go get a different job?
Yeah, kids cleaning their rooms. There's an untapped market. Dabble more into the dark side.
He got his GED in Jedi. Touche. No.
It's time for the Geek Missile podcast, broadcasting from somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. Now, here are your hosts, Randy and Adam.
Outstanding. Welcome back to another Geek Missile podcast. With me, as always, Adam Dieringer. Adam, how are you, my friend?
Rocking out of the weekend. Glad to have avoided the plague that seems to hit everybody I know.
Good to see you're healthy. I'm glad everything is happening for you. Folks, for tuning in today, we do have a special guest for you. Robert Baldwin has come in. He's going to talk to us a little bit about some superhero stuff that we talked about last weekend, and he's got some information I think you guys want to know about. Robert, thank you for joining us, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. It's Adam's pleasure.
It's always my pleasure.
It's our pleasure. Awesome. Let's not mess around with this. Let's get into this. So last week we talked about what superpower would you have and why. I said flying. You said you wanted to be a manimal.
That was my initial thing, and I realized after much contemplation throughout the week, I was like, I think I'd just get shot by some hunter, so I'm going to change up and retcon that to change to a new power here.
Okay, what's it going to be?
Telekinesis, that's mine. Just being able to lift and move stuff. Not even super heavy stuff, just even if it was just like limited to 50 pounds, I could make that work.
All right, so you're saying you would have a version of using the Force?
Yeah, essentially. Pretty much.
Guess.
Yeah.
Robert, what would yours be?
First, you either sound like you want to be a Wookiee or you don't want to have to get up and get your food. That's what it sounds like here.
You are not wrong. That is exact. I imagine just and just grab cheese sticks from the fridge from the living room.
There you go.
Well, yeah, if you could. Well, Thor does that with his hammer. If I could just reach my hand out and a beer shot out of the fridge and landed it, that'd be great.
Best power ever right there.
Could you do that with a stack of money from the bank? Just put your hand out and it flies around until it gets to your hand? That
was my thing. I was thinking, there's some application here. The problem is, every time I get a power, I always immediately think of, how could I rob a bank with this? So I don't think it's a great... I'm, on the villain path already, because I don't think of, how could I help an old lady cross the street using this power?
So mine was flying, and of course mine was also monetarily based. So I thought, okay, after seeing it, though, I was thinking, how would I use that to my advantage? I mean, if I stole something from a bank and flew around, they could just shoot me out of the sky, right? I guess. The good news is I think for a while you'd have easy going, because people would be like, you did not see someone flying through the air like a bird. I think you'd have some, until somebody posted on YouTube, but even then they're like, oh, nice green screen effect, bruh, fake and gay.
And
you know what?
I'll deal with the fact you might hit a plane not paying attention.
Yeah, that's true. And I would show the hell off, so it's not something I would keep a secret. So
I think you'd be better off with super speed at that point.
Hold my beer.
What'd you say yours was, Robert?
Well, that's actually kind of a funny question, especially since right now I recently started a role-playing campaign with some friends who it's mutants and I can't even think of it. It's Mutants and Masterminds. It's the old game, the old MMO City of Heroes, City of Villains was based off this role playing game. And I actually just made a mutant that had essentially it was a mix of Gambit and Blink. I can teleport and charge objects.
That's pretty awesome. I would, and I love that game.
Interesting.
When the servers went off, I cried internally because that was beautiful.
Same here.
So you could charge objects.
Charge objects, and I can teleport.
So it's like that guy who's walking through. Your phone is charged. Your phone is charged. That's what you're talking about.
No. I'm talking more blowing. You charge it up and blow it up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That would be great too. Somebody's like, I have an iPhone.
Well,
he does that in the commercial. Is that Captianmarvel? Or Shazam.
Shazam does that. Yeah, no, the power would be probably the equivalent of those Samsung Notes that blew up.
Okay.
They charge it and explodes.
So you won't be able to travel on airlines.
Not quite.
I was going to say, but being able to teleport, I mean, just blink. I mean, assuming, I don't know how far the blink range on that is, but that's still faster than walking for sure.
I have it at 500 feet, but it's completely accurate, and I don't need to see where I'm going like Nightcrawler.
Okay, that was always my one thing. I was like, what if he goes blind? He's just like,
yeah. Okay. That's really cool. So now I'm questioning mine. I just fly around.
I just lift stupid objects.
That's okay. One of my friends decided he was going to create a superhero John Cena. Because your powers have to manifest a specific way.
Yeah.
He turns invisible by doing the hand motion, and then he's going to jump to a portal, use velocity, and just slam somebody. And when he comes out of invisibility, the sound's going to go off. That.
Oh my god.
Okay. So now I need to think about mine. I don't know. I don't know what it would be after hearing all this. I don't know how I would change it.
I think like I've been so happy watching all these different superhero movies, and also if you're in the anime world, the My Hero Academia is also another one that I'm just like,
all right, I'm changing mine. I got it. My superpower would be, no matter what idea I had, it would give me $1 million. No, $1 billion.
Sounds like
That's
a
what it would
get-rich quick scheme.
get rich quick superpower.
Well, it would be. It would be. That's my superpower. Hey, I should start a lemonade stand. Boom, $1 billion.
You know, I never thought of putting a dirty lemon in water and telling it was lemonade, but you, this is $1 billion idea. This is.
That's it.
Make it happen now.
That's mine. I just want to be really rich. That would be my superpower. Would be really rich.
And the worst part is, I think about that too. For like, if I ever got famous or anything like that, I want to get enough money to be rich. And then everyone's like, "Are you going to keep doing it?" No, I'm going to go lay on a beach somewhere. Have a good day.
Yeah. See ya. I'm filthy rich.
Live for the memories. Have a great day.
Hey, I have an idea. Why don't you go get a different job? And then I just made another $1 billion. Hey, I got an idea, kids. Go clean your damn rooms. $1 billion. Every time I had a good idea, it was $1 billion, man. I love that.
Moms everywhere rejoice.
Yeah, kids cleaning their rooms. There's an untapped market.
That's
Make it fun.
Make it fun.
I mean, really, not being grounded, that's fun. I enjoyed not being I was grounded for like 6 years in between middle school and high school.
Yeah, I was grounded a lot too.
They took my books.
Go
I was
figure.
so grounded, they took my books. I had nothing but a desk and a pencil and like some paper. So I started drawing, which you think they would have thought of too, but they didn't.
They didn't. Well, they got to give you something, a little bread and water and a pencil and paper. I mean, I think that's what prisoners have, don't they? I don't know. Well, what do we got on deck today? We got a good show lined up.
Well, as we were actually rolling into the superhero movies, I actually went and saw Captianmarvel this weekend, and it was actually pretty good.
It was a good one. You liked it.
I liked it. I thought the visuals were on point. I think there's always the one thing where I think sometimes they lean too hard in. Sometimes the superhero, and I guess it's all Marvel superheroes don't take themselves as seriously as like they're not as gritty as DC. So I guess it was one thing where she was kind of in this middle ground where she was kind of goofy but also serious at the same time. So it was kind of hard to get a beat on her as a character, but it was still good. I'm looking forward to seeing how she plays into the rest of the movies coming.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, and I don't know that I have the drive to go see it. But I'm sure it'll come on free or something, and I'll watch it then. I don't know. Robert, did you see it?
I have not yet, but it definitely is on my list. I liked how, in the previews, they do show that she goes binary.
What does that mean?
Binary is her, I guess you can almost call it alter ego / superpower, because she absorbs so much energy. She gets that burning mohawk and just all out supercharged on power.
Oh, okay.
Like kids on crack.
Yes. Oftentimes, kids on crack will be like a superhero.
At least they think so.
Too many good and plenties. Oh man, burning mohawk.
That's funny. So you liked it. You haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
For the solo movies in the Marvel universe, I'd probably put it in my top 5. Black Panther was my number 2, and the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire was number 1. And I fight people about that all the time.
Interesting. So last week we talked about, I think it was last week, we talked about Luke Skywalker from the original Star Wars versus Spider-Man from the Avengers movie. And I talked to Robert about it, and he was very passionate about his answer. So we posed the question again. Who would win in a fight? And who do you think it would be?
For me, I believe that if they were in a cage match setting, I believe that Luke would win only purely for the fact that he has a cut-through-anything sword, and if he just gets a lucky swing off, it's pretty much over.
Okay. All right. Robert?
Well, you got to consider the fact you're going off of the original 3 movies, so 4, 5, and 6. That's a whole maybe 3-year span that he's had to practice, and he abandoned his practices throughout a good chunk of that. So when you actually take that in consideration, he is very untrained versus Spider-Man, who has the Iron Spider suit that reacts to protect Peter. And then you throw into the fact Peter is smarter, more tech savvy, which is what the lightsaber is, tech.
Interesting. Because Luke Skywalker is he's just a nerf herder, isn't he? I mean, what does he do on Tatooine? He was just
I mean, that's technically it. They could have essentially replaced him with a group of corgis or Australian shepherds that would have done the same job.
And I mean, mind domination, that's like the parlor trick for a Jedi at that point, too.
Well,
like, oh, look at me, I can make you say what I want you to.
Yeah, but look at his midi-chlorine level.
I was going to say, oh my God, that's right. I was going to say, and from what I've seen from that limited control is basically just to like briefly make them, it's like passing a charisma check essentially. Like you just get them to basically agree, and then, but I haven't seen any extent where you're like, go, murder the president or whatever, and like anything like that. Like it doesn't have any semblance of control. It's just, they can't, it's more of a passing.
Agree with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't you agree? While shaking your head, yes.
And I mean,
yes.
When you start to dabble more into the dark side, yes, you can get as far as go kill a president, and they will. But you have to have a very high control of the Force to be able to get to that level. Because you're literally pushing them against their will at that point.
Okay, so you're saying, so going back to the question, you're saying Superman would win.
Spider-Man?
I did that last time, too.
You did,
I said
too.
Superman.
I wasn't going to say
Spider-Man. Yeah, Superman will win. Because that's just what Superman does.
Spider-Man would win.
Is an overpowered perf, and I hate him because he's too much.
Well, he was, captain of the football team and homecoming king and all that, so.
Well, quite literally. When all I think about is that whole song, anything you can do, I can do better. That is Superman.
That is. Yeah. Okay, so Spider-Man, now that I'm with the conversation again, he would win over Luke Skywalker.
Hands down. The Iron Spider suit is adaptive to pick up on things Peter would miss, but the key thing is the spider sense. That sixth sense that even as a young kid, we didn't understand it, knew when it triggered, he needed to move. And you can swing a lightsaber all you want. It's not going to help you.
So I have to admit, in our first roundabout, before you came to interject, as it were, I forgot about the irons. I forgot about the suit, which is huge. I completely didn't even put that on the radar as something to consider. And that AI is crazy. So yeah, I can see that. I think we'd have to make it a more fair fight. You'd actually have to put him against the Tobey Maguire version, who was a little more incompetent, and maybe that would be more.
So those two would be more compatible than the ones I posed.
More of a fair fight, I think. But I overlooked it too. I completely forgot about that suit. Not to mention, I think he's actually more competent as Spider-Man. There's actually a literal skills floor that he's better at than Tobey Maguire, because Tobey Maguire was still stumbling all the way through all his movies.
So if we're going to stay with the first 3 movies, what if we did Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker?
That's only 3 years in, and he went to self-taught. I mean, if you actually look at it, he spent maybe, we'll say 3 months with Obi-Wan, maybe 3 months with Yoda, and the rest was self-taught. Which, I mean, that's like using...
He got his GED in Jedi.
The best way to put it, it'd be like... Jace Beleren from Magic the Gathering. Before he got his memories, he self-taught himself, and he was good. He wasn't bad. But when he got his memories back and he became, he got the training he needed, he studied the way he needed to, it made him terrifying. That's why the older Luke is so much scarier. He went into isolation. He studied with the ghosts, and he focused, and that's where he got powerful.
Well, we don't see him. We don't know that he's powerful. I mean, we haven't seen it yet.
Not in the movies, but you do see it in the books.
We just, okay.
Oh, that's true. That's the part I always miss. Although I will say, when you see the stuff that his dad did compared to what he does, you're just like, God, the apple did fall far from the tree. Like, you did not get the same drive and crazy ability your father had, because he was doing stuff.
Right,
and
yeah.
One thing to point out about the midichlorian level is, you may have an extremely high amount, but that's just like saying you have $1 billion, but you don't know what to do with it. Yeah, Anakin had it at a young age, but he never used the Force. I mean, he didn't know how to use it.
So he didn't, so he never exercised it and developed it.
Not until later.
Which is, and then Anakin did.
Well, and then Obi-Wan was too old to teach him how to do anything, really. I mean, he got him some basics, but he was too old to be like, hey, let's go stop some smugglers, or let's go do this or anything. And there was nothing important going on to hone him to get him up to that level so fast.
He was just more dip and dive, that kind of thing. Yeah, if you ever get in a fight, dip and dive, you'll be fine.
Here's the basics. Move some stuff. Tell people they should listen to you, and there you go. You got yourself a free cheeseburger. Yeah, you said I could have a break.
Okay. All right. So we were talking about Luke Skywalker and the Return of the Jedi coming back. He was more developed, but we said later, Luke Skywalker, the newer ones, I have yet to see him do anything. He just stands there in his bathrobe on the rock, and he's just,
basically with his Sunday paper, just, who's this kid on my yard?
Yeah, who's this?
Don't go in the cave. He hasn't cleaned in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was going to say, Yoda was the best part of that movie, like completely, like that one little thing where he got to jump in for a second. I was like, oh.
So we have yet to see him come back, but Rey,
yeah,
now she's all of a sudden she's more developed as an undeveloped person than Luke or Anakin ever was.
Hell, I think Flynn could have taken Luke to the cleaners at this point. I'm pretty sure that and he's not even. I think he's like what they call Force sensitive, like the dude from the prequel was, the monk.
That monk was amazing.
He was my favorite person in that movie.
Yeah, he was.
And the bounty hunter. I guess he technically wasn't a bounty hunter, but yeah.
So I want to go back a little bit. So you're saying that Return of the Jedi Luke could or could not beat Spider-Man from the Avengers?
Tobey Maguire?
Nope.
He couldn't beat any of the versions of the movie Spider-Man. Even if we looked at the Tobey Maguire one, yes, he was very aloof. But if we go off of the one where his body produced the webbing, there was a lot more that he had because of that version of Spider-Man. He was the Spider Totem, which he also had a venom prick on each arm that essentially could come out. We don't see it in the movie, but we can assume based off of which version of Spider-Man they did, he did have it. He just didn't learn it.
And what is? Now I'm curious because I actually missed that. What does the prick do? Is it like Black Widow venom, where it's like something like that, or is it?
You'll learn to use your prick as you get older.
Yeah, just wait. Sooner or later, it'll happen. It'll get hard. It'll come out. You look at it a second. It's
always just inconvenient. You got to tuck it into the top of your waistband. I don't know.
Until then, just play with your belly button.
But no, the spider venom that he has, it's a paralysis. It makes you stiff for an hour. If it lasts more than 4 hours, go to the hospital.
Seek medical attention. That's funny. So there's no incarnation of Luke Skywalker beating Spider-Man, is what you're saying?
Not the early versions, no. Later on, as he does study, he does progress, it could be a lot closer fight, just because of the fact the Force essentially can work the same as the Spider Sense. I don't think that it could necessarily block it, but I think it could make it to where it would be like a Spider-Man Venom fight.
Okay. All right. So we're going to pose this out to our listeners. Get on the horn. What do you guys do? It's the email, the Twitter, all that stuff.
The tweets and the Facebooks.
And Get out there, kids, on your newfangled twitting machines. But let us know what you think. I'm curious to see what our audience thinks about it, what they have to say about it. Argue with us or agree with us. Either way, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you're talking about. We are running a little bit long, guys. I got to play some quick advertising spots, so
keep the lights on.
Let's do that. We'll be right back.
From the dawn of time, tales have been told of heroes. Heroes like Hercules, who performed 12 tasks in order to make the gods happy and redeem himself. Or Perseus, who defeated Medusa and then defeated a kraken. All of them powered by one thing. And it wasn't love, Aphrodites. Read a book. No, it was the power of gyros, the delicious Greek foodstuff that powered them to victory. And that power can now be yours through Pizzapipeline and their Gyros Pizza, available for 20% off online at pizzapipeline.com via the Geek Missile podcast. Do something heroic today.
All right. We're back. We just had to do a quick commercial spot.
Got to make sure to pay these bills, Can't have otherwise they'll come and repo my chair and I'll have to stand all day.
Awful.
Circling back to movies, I know you'd mentioned that the third John Wick movie is coming out. I haven't got to check the trailer on it yet, but
so I did check the trailer out, and that is something I am very into. I want to see that next Wick movie. Have you seen it, Robert?
I've seen the trailer. I am kind of leery both ways because of the fact the second one ended so well with it. Just, he's walking away. So it's kind of interesting.
But it ended on a cliffhanger. It's like you have 1 hour. You're excommunicado, bro.
True. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the hit was still on. I mean, yes, it did leave us hanging on. Is he pulling the contract on Wick or not? We don't know. But yeah, we definitely knew he wasn't going to be getting
But he didn't put the contract on Wick. The other guy did.
Correct. But as the head of the organization, he can do what he wants.
Oh, he can pull it and say it's off.
That's very much what it is he can pull it, he can put him out, he can supersede any choice. And that's why he gave Wick the 1 hour, is because it's his choice.
Yeah.
He had to follow his own rules.
Right.
And he does very well. But he also knows the loopholes to the rules.
Yeah, sure he does. Yeah, that makes sense. So it looks like in the trailer of the new one, he asks him, am I still excommunicado? Like they came to some sort of deal or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to be. But I do want to see that. I like the first two movies. Wife and I both watched them, and it was like, this is going to be cool. I'm excited to see it.
I hope they can monopolize on it and make it the best movie that they can. Have you guys seen Dexter? This kind of it just reminds me of it, narratively speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is basically the ending of the show. At the very end of it, they could have, if they essentially, without ruining anything for anybody who hasn't seen it, if they had stopped it about 5 minutes earlier, there was a point in it where, artistically speaking, they could have ended it, and I would have been happier than showing a continuation of a character where they don't belong or where it doesn't make sense. It would be better sometimes it's better to have a character end or to have something end and assume they're gone and go out that way than to see them doing something where you're like, why would they be doing that? And anyways, I hope that John Wick goes the way where it makes sense where he's going and everything like that.
So far, it looks like it has. I mean,
it looks like it's pretty much him fighting for his life at this point. The contract didn't get pulled, and he's having to constantly fight. And I think it comes down to, is he going to do something to make amends to where the contract does get pulled, or are they going to run out of Hitman?
I was thinking, instead of killing them all, he bought us all sugar cookies. Oh, they're homemade? Oh, man, okay. Well, you can't kill a guy who did that. I mean, he's probably spent all day baking these.
Can't have that. He doesn't have a house anymore.
Yeah, his house got blown up.
Where did he bake? Did he tell us he baked these and he just bought them from Shopko?
I'd get them from Costco, but that's just me.
I will say this, though. It does seem to kind of follow the same kind of movie set as like the Expendables.
Yeah.
Where they bring in these really big heavy hitter actors for this. In the second one they brought in the actor who played Morpheus.
Yeah, right.
And
Lawrence Fishbone or something like that.
Yeah.
Fishburne.
Yeah.
Fishy something.
And the head of the organization, the actor Ian. Amazing actor. I loved him in Black Sails, love him in American Gods, and he's really, really bringing his A game to the John Wick series.
Yeah, I thought he was cool. You know what? I felt like he also played a very good devil. Like if he were to play the devil, his eyes and the way he talked and his demeanor, I thought, man, that guy could play pure evil if he wanted to. He was really good.
He actually plays Odin in American Gods. And
okay.
Yeah, I mean, and in American Gods, he's literally preparing to wage war.
Yeah, I like that guy. What was his name?
It's Ian something. I can't think of the last name.
Ian something. I'll look up Ian something and see what I find. We need Adam closer to his mic.
Oh, sorry, giggling away from here so I don't breathe into the mic like Darth Vader.
Apparently, Adam wants to do this from his car today. I don't know what he's got going on.
Budget cuts. He can't sit that close.
Yeah, that's it. We got to be sit back.
I didn't want to breathe into the microphone.
That's all right. The ending says it was almost professional, so it's almost professional.
Almost there.
Almost there. Where are we at, buddy?
Let's see. Oh, so speaking of the TV stuff, I went to see my girlfriend this weekend, and her grandpa is who owns the house, always watching sports. It's always a sports show, or it's some kind of like TV, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, things like that. But he's flipping to the channels, and all of a sudden it goes from basketball. And then all of a sudden it shows the Overwatch League, which is the game Overwatch, but they've actually made an actual franchise around the country out of it.
Really?
There's even some headrunners, some big Fortune 500 companies that have a team of their own just to be part of the action that are going around. But these kids are out here making like $80,000 a year on top of full health benefits and everything else like that to play this game competitively. And I'm like, I never thought I'd come to see that day. I'd always thought it'd be like, everyone does the Call of Duty or Halo tournaments where you pay $5 at the beginning and whoever wins gets the majority of the pot. Maybe second place gets like a minor cut.
Interesting.
And that's what I thought. But now we're seeing it on TV, and I'm like, I don't think it'll ever invade the Olympics, but it's getting cool. It's kind of cool.
Well,
that is interesting.
I mean, I think, it's been going on for a long time now. Especially like ESPN started trying to find more and more things to fill the gaps between sports. League of Legends has its tournament. Smash Brothers has theirs. Even like Magic the Gathering, the World Championships are now aired on ESPN too.
That's really cool. I'm actually really enjoying that because there used to be a nerdy channel called G4. And I really loved it. I thought that was a cool channel.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think we need dedicated nerd channels because I would totally keep that on instead of like whatever cooking show my friend happens to be wanting to watch in the house or a million of the TLC We Fixed Up a House show, which there's like 1,000 of.
Oh my God. Yeah, my wife and I will get sucked into that too.
I don't know what my wife does. She's watching one that has like 120 something seasons. I'm just like,
oh my gosh,
how can people continue want to watch a person buy a house and build it? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it gets, but I do it for ideas, like because we're working on the backyard, and so sometimes I see little things like that. But
it's called Home and Garden Magazine.
Yeah, it is, but.
Oh, Pinterest, if you're one of the fancy internet people.
I never learned how to read. No. Yeah, I do a lot of Pinteresting.
Only picture books.
Yeah, picture books, eh? Yeah, it's didn't Google come out with something too, or a boat too?
I heard there was a gaming system, and I know that Robert knows more about it than I do.
Yeah, I looked into it, a lot of it, watched the reveal and stuff, and it looks interesting. The biggest concern that everybody has is Google has a habit of just dropping things, and
Google Glass,
Google Plus, quite literally, and that's the biggest fear is because it's going to be a strictly cloud-based save game, so you can only buy them online. And if Google says, we don't like this anymore, we're getting rid of it, then you're out who knows how much.
Yeah, and I think that's a problem because right now, like I have all my games. I have games digitally stored through Steam and things like that. But those games I can download to my computer, and they technically owe me the license. Like I've got the serial key and everything. I should be able to get a hold of it and and get that game anytime I want. But if they just decide, if Steam just decided we no longer exist, that it's all gone, I don't know if I'd get to keep anything or what.
I want to move. I got Unreal Tournament. I bought the entire pack of all the Unreal games through Steam. and I wanted to move it from that computer to this one, and found it to be extremely difficult. I may have to.
Like people can hear you pointing.
I'm going to take it from over here and put it over here. You can't see it, but just know that there's a computer over there and a computer over here, and I've moved it.
Just know that there's one over there and there's one here. And, if you need to, I'll send you pictures, but you'd have to write in for that.
Go in the direction that bird is flying. Never mind. Follow the river.
Go that way. So I do, though. I did have some issues with that, and I wanted to get it moved over to a nicer, more... how we should say a gooder computer and do it that way, but so Google, we may or may not have the new. It may be the new coming, it may not be. I'm going to definitely research it this week, so when we come back next week, I'll be able to hit it and give it a better, more educated opinion. Because Google's disappointed me. They had a chat program called Allo, and they got rid of it, and I really liked it because it was like a mixture of all the things I love from chat and texting, but better. And then they were like, we don't like it. It's gone now. They got rid of it.
Yep.
And it wasn't profitable. All right, let's squeeze in one more ad, and we'll be right back, folks.
Hey, Mac, how you doing today?
Not too bad, Guy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. What are you up to?
Well, I'm getting ready to order me a pair of Best Suspenders from BestSuspenders.com.
We got us a .com in the 20s?
You know it. They've been around for years.
Well, what do they got on there?
Well, I'll tell you. They got formal and they got casual. And if you're a hard-working fella, they even got suspenders for that, too. All made in the United States.
Well, I tell you, if they're good enough for President Hoover, they're good enough for me.
Well, he's got a pair, don't you know?
Well, then I'm going to give me a pair right now.
Well, let's do it. BestSuspenders.com. Support you can trust,
Thank you, Mac.
Wonderful. We did have to stop for that quick break from our friends at BestSuspenders.com. Support you can trust. Give them a visit, folks. You'll love it. It's great stuff.
I was going to say, we had to squeeze that just in time, which reminds me of the... I've been having an issue where I've been trying to find different games to play through, and the one that I was nostalgically looking through was, if you guys have seen, they had movies, they had games, they're called Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. I like things that deal with time. Back to the Future, anything where there's a time divergent, because I always want to know the mechanics of it, like how it works, because there's so many different interpretations of how time works. I'll give you an example and just see where we all meet on this. If my friend made a time machine for me, and then I found out he uses that time machine to go back and like screw over everything and make terrible things happen, and I use his time machine to go back and stop him from making that time machine. Can I do that, or is that not going to work? Like, that's my...
Oh yes, the whole time travel
paradox.
Like the reason I can time travel to do it is because he made that machine, but if I prevent him from making that machine, then how could I have gone back there to prevent it?
So I saw a thing on YouTube with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I think it was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Love that guy.
I don't know. Hashtag Joe Rogan. And I think Neil was saying that something would prevent you from killing that person. That was what he was talking about, I believe. And I could be absolutely hallucinating, so don't hold me to it. But yeah, so if you go back and kill the guy that made the time machine, or if you were to go back and kill your father or grandfather, something would prevent you from doing that because you already exist. It can't change back. And I had not thought about it that way. I thought, well, if you just shot him or something, then would you just vanish? How would that work? But it goes beyond that. And it's, it's like you couldn't. The gun would jam. You would miss the shot. Something would interfere with you killing him.
It makes me wonder if you can change anything at that point when you go back in time, other than to observe it, because if everything's already a fixed point in time, or if it's only that doing things that would make it so you couldn't be there are the only things that are prevented. Like, you could still be like let's say you put $20 in a savings account under a name for yourself later, and then let interest pile up for 50 years before you were born or whatever, something like that.
Right.
Maybe that would still work because you're not technically doing something that would inhibit you from existing.
Except for the bank collapse.
Yeah. What do you mean it's still $20? The bank collapsed, so the interest went away.
That's funny. What's your take on it?
That's a tough one. I mean, in all actuality, there's so many different ideas behind time travel.
Yeah.
You got the paradox to where if you go back in time and you change something in history, with, say, the common one, go back in time and kill Hitler before he became Hitler. Well, does that create more Hitlers? Does that make something worse than what really happened? Then you also have the paradox of, well, if I go back in time to kill the guy who created the time machine to prevent him from messing up the timeline, can you? and there's the theory that time will always fix itself. So you kill him, time machine will still get made by someone else. You'll still be able to go back in time using the new time machine that was made by someone else to kill the person who originally created it. There's also the whole, let's split the universe. Well, you had a choice. You did this one. There's two different universes. One you did it, one you didn't.
Well, my brain just got sweaty.
Right? It puts the what if machine thing out there, like if you could see all the divergent paths, like, oh, if I'd have bought that bagel on Sunday, I wouldn't have gotten diabetes. Ate the bagel.
Yes, it was that one bagel that did it.
The one bagel saved me from buying 18 Big Macs.
Yeah, it wasn't the 200 pizzas prior to that.
Definitely not. Pizza's good for you.
Or the 6-pack of Dr. Pepper a day. Yeah. That is boy, you could really drive yourself nuts trying to think about that and figure it out. And
absolutely.
I think that is
funny. Wonder
funny.
why they've never killed the Flash yet. He stubs his toe, he runs back in time. That's exactly how he works. And then he screws everything up, and he has to go back to fix it by going back in time to stop himself and stopping himself. And it's a headache.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I heard one of these multiverse versions that the Flash basically causes. One of them is where Bruce dies instead of his parents, and then his dad's like a crazy version of Batman, and his wife is the Joker. I think
he's not crazy. His dad's military trained, and he just pretty much he becomes the Punisher. It's literally what it is. It's I am a Batman with guns, and I kill for justice.
I actually kind of like that version. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of effective because I'm always like, he's like, well, I put you behind bars, but golly gee, you got out again and you bombed another school full of children.
Is he from the 20s?
I think that's where some
By golly gee, now look at me go.
Well, gee Willikers, Batman, you should have done so. Shut up, Robin. You much. You never do anything.
Jesus.
Sure he does. He dies. A lot.
He's the Krillin of the Batman universe.
Oh, that's funny. We do have a good time here, don't we?
But yeah, if you actually think about it, Barry is the one that pretty much creates the need for the Speed Force. It creates a lot of time travelers. His biggest villain, Ebony, it's not Ebony Maw, that's Thanos. Eobard Thawne. Wow, I never realized how close those names are. Huh.
Yeah, that's why I always wonder. I'm like, do you guys like sit in the same coffee shops and like peek at each other's work?
That one was a given.
All right. Well, I think we've pretty much done our show. I mean, we don't have to do that one.
All right. No. I think we've reached a logical conclusion. The time paradox has been concluded.
I would say so. Robert, any last comments?
Unless you plan on going back and talking about it again.
That'll be Google next week.
If we go back in time and redo the show, would we do it differently? I don't know. All right, kids.
Now I need an aspirin.
Yeah. Robert Baldwin, thanks for joining us today. Adam, thank you for joining me and Robert Baldwin and having a great show. My name is Randy Howell for Adam Dieringer, for Robert Baldwin. Thank you all for listening. You kids have an awesome day.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Geek Missile production, and it was almost professional. We thank you for listening.